Alright, the 2024 to 2025 season was a disaster for Real Madrid. Not a single truly relevant trophy. Every Clásico lost.
Lamine Yamal with a shot, Lamine Yamal with a goal! There's the celebration! Clear on the line. The two Real Madrid defenders, Rudiger was one of them. Rafinha celebrates.
And not just lost, but outplayed tactically and physically.
Everybody's underperformed. So when everybody underperforms, that shows there's something structurally wrong with the manager and the club as well. So yeah, it's been a poor season, but you could almost see it. You could almost see it coming if you look past the signing of Kylian Mbappé in the summer.
In the Champions League, one humiliation after another.
España, Reinders. El toca Kevin over Reinders, goal. Goal!
We didn't play well. Milan played well. We were similar like first half against Dortmund. We are too far from each other. Allow them play easy, and like this is difficult against teams that can play.
They got knocked out by a Milan side that barely survived in Serie A.
Milan can't hold, can't get anywhere near Real Madrid. They're an average team. They're having a really poor season in Serie A. I think they're 7th in Serie A. It's a great result for them, don't get me wrong, but in terms of winning the competition, I don't think anyone would ever mention AC Milan coming anywhere near winning this competition. So for Real Madrid to get beat so convincingly at home, I think it's a really, really bad night, maybe a very worrying night going forward for Real Madrid.
They lost 2-0 to Arne Slot's Liverpool, who dominated them with energy and structure.
Liverpool again. The delivery by Robertson, there's your header, there's your goal, Cody Gakpo.
And let's not forget the tragic defeat to Arsenal, a game that exposed just how lost Madrid really was. It wasn't just about results. The cracks were everywhere, a defence made of paper, a locker room divided by the Cold War between Vinicius and Mbappé.
Season when we knew that Mbappé was going there, how is he going to balance that team?
A team full of Galacticos that once again forgot how to play like a team. This wasn't the Real Madrid of champions. This was Real Madrid at its worst. All hype, no chemistry, and absolutely nothing to show for it. So then, how can Xabi Alonso rescue a team that's lost in every possible way? Well, Xabi has a plan. Let's break it down. Florentino Perez didn't just sign Xabi Alonso to coach Real Madrid, he brought him in to save it.
For Real Madrid, could this be 3?
Xabi Alonso stepped into the job with an impossible weight on his shoulders. The expectation to win the Club World Cup just days after taking charge of Real Madrid.
Como he dicho, entendemos un poquito más su estilo de juego, sabes, con posesión, defender todos juntos y presionar en el campo, entonces vamos a ver un poquito más, sabes, su estilo cada partido.
And sure, the team had a decent start. There were flashes of structure, signs of change, but it was clear from the beginning this wasn't going to be a fairy tale, because eventually they were going to run into a giant like PSG, and that's when reality hit hard.
Well positioned Raul Asensio, but he's dilly-dallied here, and did Courtois foul? Doesn't matter.
Es una señal de todavía lo que nos queda por trabajar y hay que aceptarlo con calma, con exigencia también, pero bueno, ahora evidentemente duele.
Because this isn't the same Real Madrid that once dominated Europe. This is a club that's been crumbling from the inside for years. The locker room full of tension and egos too big to manage. The stars worshipped like untouchables. And when things were finally starting to look balanced, when Bellingham, Vinicius and Rodrigo were clicking, the Mbappé bomb dropped.
Where do you go? What do you do? Rodrigo was essential for them last year when they were losing the ball. He's on the bench now. And I know maybe he doesn't have the efficiency of Vinicius Jr. that he had last year, but Rodrigo was balancing the team off the ball. Now he's not playing.
On paper, it was a dream. An attack with Mbappé, Vinicius and Bellingham, that's pure firepower. But in reality, the moment Kylian showed up, the balance disappeared. Neither Vinicius nor Mbappé track back. They don't defend. They float. And with that, Real Madrid became top-heavy, a sports car with no brakes. And just when the backline needed to step up, it collapsed. Eder Militao out. David Alaba injured. Dani Carvajal also had an ACL injury. Carlo Ancelotti was left trying to plug holes in a sinking ship with Tchouaméni as centre-back. But honestly, the problems at Real Madrid started way before the injury crisis. Just look at that nightmare of a game against AC Milan. That match didn't just show flaws, it exposed everything wrong with the team's attitude, structure and effort. It was embarrassing. Madrid couldn't even build out from the back. Their passing was hesitant, their movement was lazy, and their mindset completely off. Take Milan's second goal, for example. It starts with Tchouaméni trying to play out under pressure. But here's the problem. No one's moving. The midfield is static. There's no support, no options. Tchouaméni's standing there with the ball like, what now? Vinicius Vinicius finally drops back to offer a pass, but what does Tchouaméni do? He gives him a slow, soft ball, practically an invitation for Milan to steal it, and they do. Now, mistakes like that can happen. Bad passes, turnovers, it's part of the game. But what's unforgivable is what comes next. Vinicius doesn't even try to win it back. He just jogs. Tchouaméni gets brushed off way too easily. No urgency, no fight. And boom, Morata scores. Goal. Disaster. That moment wasn't just a defensive lapse. It was a symbol of how far Real Madrid had fallen. No intensity, no identity, no accountability. If you thought things were bad for Madrid's midfield and attack, the fullbacks were in even worse shape. Ferland Mendy, once a rock on the left side, completely lost his form. And the worst part, his injury issues kept getting worse. It reached a point where he couldn't stay fit for more than a few matches in a row. That left Ancelotti with only one real option on the left, Fran Garcia. And with Dani Carvajal injured on the right, things got even uglier. The only available replacement, Lucas Vázquez, a converted winger who's never been a proper right back. Sure, Fran had a few decent moments, but Lucas Vázquez, honestly, putting him at right back was a disaster waiting to happen. Out of position, out of sync, out of his depth. And that's when Xabi Alonso made his first big decision as Madrid's new boss. Fix the backline now. Because here's the truth, Madrid had ignored their defence for too many seasons. It was always flashy attackers, big name signings, but very little investment in defensive depth. That's changing. Under Xabi, the club is finally taking that part seriously. New blood is already on the way. Dean Huijsen, a rising star with presence and poise. Trent Alexander-Arnold, a world-class creator from deep who brings experience and vision from the Premier League. And Álvaro Carreras, a young fullback hungry for minutes and ready to prove himself. Let's talk about the unsung hero of Madrid's rebuild, Dean Huijsen.
Para mí hay una noticia excepcional que es Hausen. O sea, me parece ya el mejor central de Madrid.
Estoy de acuerdo.
Pero mejor, aunque haya tenido el fallo que ha tenido en el área que casi le cuesta un disgusto.
La segunda parte.
Sí. Pero, o sea, es un tío que está atento, es rápido, y sobre todo con el balón. Es un escándalo la cantidad de pases que filtra pasando líneas rivales, o sea, me parece.
Habrá gente que
buenísimo.
diga sobre lo que.
This might just be the smartest defensive signing Real Madrid has made in years. Young, tall, composed, Huijsen exploded onto the scene last season in the Premier League, quickly becoming one of the league's breakout centre-backs. And for a team like Madrid that's been desperate for consistency in the backline, he's a breath of fresh air. What makes him special? He's not just a physical presence, he's got the full toolkit. Calm on the ball, strong in the air, excellent in positioning. Huijsen's that chill guy who doesn't panic under pressure and always knows where to be, the kind of centre-back that gives a coach peace of mind. And here's where Xabi Alonso comes in. See, Xabi's not just plugging holes, he's redesigning how this Madrid team defends. His vision, a flexible back three, a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, that plays to his squad's strengths and masks their weaknesses. In that setup, Huijsen fits like a glove on the left side of the back three. Rudiger becomes the no-nonsense enforcer in the middle, while Militao or even Raúl Asensio can handle the right side. It gives the backline a solid triangle of defenders who can cover each other and read the game well. But the real magic happens on the wings. This formation allows Trent Alexander-Arnold to do what he does best, attack. As a right wing-back, Trent won't be asked to defend deep as often. Instead, he can focus on delivering deadly crosses, driving the play forward and creating chaos in the final third. And if he gets caught upfield, no problem. The back three's there to cover for him. On the opposite flank, Álvaro Carreras brings a perfect balance. He's strong both ways, can bomb forward and cut inside with the ball at his feet, or track back and make clutch defensive recoveries. His engine and timing make him ideal for handling tricky wingers and covering wide spaces when things get messy. In fact, Carreras is so versatile. He could even be used as a left-sided centre-back in a three-man defence, with Fran Garcia pushed up as the wing-back. This setup also gives Xabi Alonso the flexibility to start from a 4-3-3, but morph into a 3-5-2 in possession. He can line up with Rudiger and Huijsen as the two centre-backs, and drop Tchouaméni between them as a makeshift central defender when building out from the back. That gives you a back three without actually starting with three defenders. Then, with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Fran Garcia pushing up as wing-backs, the width is covered, while the midfield stays solid with Valverde, Bellingham, and either Güler or Camavinga. Bottom line, if Xabi Alonso leans into the system that made his Leverkusen side so dominant, controlled, compact, but full of movement and risk in the right moments, this Madrid backline might go from crisis mode to championship caliber, but only if Xabi stays true to that blueprint. Xabi Alonso's system at Bayer Leverkusen was crystal clear. A bold, fluid 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, built on organisation, high pressing and vertical movement. It worked. It It didn't just work, it made Leverkusen look like a machine. But now, he's walking into the most political locker room in world football, and that changes everything. Because this is Real Madrid, a club that doesn't just play football, it performs it. And at Madrid, it's not just about tactics or systems, it's about legacy, pressure, power dynamics, and expectations that come from the very top. For decades, the club's presidents and executives have been more than just men in suits. They've shaped the on-field product. Their belief, coaches are temporary, Madrid is forever. So they treat the coach as just another piece in a much bigger machine. That means less freedom, more suggestions from upstairs, and a clear message: make it work with the stars. It's why many Madrid coaches, from Zidane to Ancelotti, have often focused more on keeping harmony in the dressing room than pushing a defined tactical identity. Madrid doesn't typically build around the manager's vision, it builds around the individual brilliance of its players. And that's exactly where the friction begins for Xabi Alonso. Because Alonso isn't a vibes-only coach, he's got a style, an identity, bold passing from the back, structure in midfield, wing-backs pushing high, and coordinated pressing. He doesn't just put his best 11 on the field and hope for magic. He wants control. And you know what? When Madrid let him do things his way, they dominated. Wins against Juventus, Borussia Dortmund, Salzburg, all while playing structured, fluid, and aggressive. It looked like a new Madrid, one with purpose. But here's the million-dollar question. What happens when the stars start demanding centre stage again? Well, things like the semi-final against PSG. Because no matter how many tactical diagrams Xabi Alonso draws up, none of it works if your two biggest stars don't buy in. Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr.
Winning this competition, so for Real Madrid to get beat so convincingly at home, I think it's a really, really bad night, maybe a very worrying night going forward for Real Madrid.
It is. Let's remind ourselves what happens next for them in terms of who they play next. So, Jamie, current position 17th in the table. Obviously, that could potentially shift to be a little bit lower tomorrow because we've still got the Wednesday game still to play. These are their fixtures at home, just to confirm for you what you saw on SofaScore.
Yes. Well, I mean, Liverpool and Atalanta away. Liverpool.
Those are difficult games.
Two of the most dangerous attackers in world football were also last season the two biggest problems when it came to defending without the ball. They didn't track back, they didn't press, they didn't help when the team lost possession. And in Xabi's system, that's fatal. But here's the twist. During the Club World Cup, when Mbappe was sidelined with gastroenteritis, something happened. Vinicius started to shine again.
Yeah, has support, but he might go alone. Vini Jr.
And up top, with Gonzalo Garcia making smart runs and Bellingham playing as the connector behind them, Real Madrid looked reborn. There was a spark, a rhythm. The team played like a unit. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like progress. Like Xabi's plan was working. But then came the semi-final.
Still got to wait another 24 hours for table time. Christian, how are you feeling then? Away at Real Madrid, the biggest team in European football. You've had a decent, maybe not the greatest of starts in the new Champions League format, but that's some result.
Yeah, amazing result for us. I mean, to come here and play is, of course, not easy. I mean, their history in the Champions League, you know, not a tough place to come and play. So for us to put on a performance like that and win the game, obviously a really special night for us.
Pulisic, we've seen you a lot on the left-hand side.
Why are you calling him Pulisic?
Oh, sorry,
Christian.
Okay, Christian.
Oh, wow.
Because we're not friends like that. Pulisic for now, you know, when he comes in and I'm meeting him in America.
Let's be clear. Starting Mbappe, Vinicius and Gonzalo Garcia against PSG wasn't the worst idea on paper. You got two of the deadliest wingers in the world, plus a young striker hungry to prove himself. It should have worked. On FIFA it probably does, but this wasn't a video game. This was a war. And the real problem wasn't just tactical, it was effort, or rather, the lack of it. From the first whistle, Mbappe and Vinicius looked checked out. No pressing, no intensity, just walking, jogging, watching. While the rest of the team tried to hold the line and absorb pressure, the two most important players were just there, just floating. And PSG, they smelled blood. Ousmane Dembele, Désiré Doué, and Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. Yeah, that's the kind of front line that doesn't wait to be invited. They hunt, they press, they kill. And with two of Madrid's attackers offering zero defensive support, it was like Xabi's midfield and defence were playing a man or two down the entire match. It wasn't just frustrating, it was devastating. Mbappe's old coach, Luis Enrique, used to beg him to press back when they were at PSG.
Yo te he leído que te gustaba Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan cogía de los huevos a todos sus compañeros y se ponía a defender como un hijo de puta. Tú tienes que dar ese ejemplo, primero como persona y como jugador, de ir a presionar. Vas a tener a Cubarsí, vas a ser tú el que marca a Cubarsí y a Ter Stegen. Y te vas a pegar todo el partido presionando a Cubarsí que no avance y presionando a Ter Stegen para que juegue rápido. Y volviendo rápido. ¿Para qué? Para ser un líder
Meanwhile, Jude Bellingham was running himself into the ground. He tracked, he tackled, he fought. But what can you do when your teammates don't follow? To make things worse, Rudiger and Raúl Asensio made their own mistakes at the back. But can we really blame them when they were constantly under siege? The dominoes fell hard, and they fell fast. By the time the final whistle blew, the scoreboard felt generous. PSG could have scored 7, maybe more. Madrid was lucky to escape with only 3 goals against. And now the big question hangs over the Santiago Bernabeu like a storm cloud. How do you build a serious team when your 2 biggest stars refuse to defend?
Xabi Alonso tomando notitas. Y no creo que Xabi Alonso no haya tenido personalidad. Ayer a Vinicius se sienta en el minuto 62, creo. Sí. Ojo, ya en el minuto 62 ya le tienes que sentar. A Mbappé le podría haber puesto contra el Dortmund y estaba en el banquillo. O sea, yo creo que Xabi Alonso tiene personalidad. Y a partir de agosto no se va a morder la lengua. El que curre, juega. El que no, al banquillo. Tal cual, va a ser así.
Es que es lo que va. ¿Le ha servido lo de ayer, tú crees?
Mucho. Mucho. Xabi Alonso no viene para ser, lo que me dicen a mí, para ser un entrenador más, a ver qué les apetece a los jugadores. Él ha crecido la poca carrera que lleva, pero ha ido ganando títulos a través de su táctica, de la exigencia y de la palabra equipo, en la globalidad de todas las letras. Y si eso no ocurre en el Real Madrid, no le va a temblar la mano para decir tú al banquillo.
Xabi Alonso has no choice. He has to change the culture of Real Madrid, not tweak it, not patch it. Change it from the inside out. For too long, this club has bent the knee to its stars. It's protected egos, made excuses, and gambled on talent over teamwork. And now that gamble's catching up. Because the truth is, it's not the whole team that's broken. There are warriors in this squad, fighters, players who would bleed for the badge. Valverde, Camavinga, Bellingham, Fran Garcia, Brahim, Gula, Endrick. These guys run, these guys grind. They give everything, every match, without headlines or special treatment. That's why signings like Alvaro Carreras matter. That's why the rise of Gonzalo Garcia means something. They're not just players, they're symbols. Symbols of what this club could become. A team that doesn't rely on stardom to win, but on structure, work rate, and unity. Xabi knows it. You can see it in his choices, in the players he trusts, in the way he talks about football and about identity.
Es una señal de todavía lo que nos queda por trabajar y hay que aceptarlo con calma, con exigencia también, pero bueno, ahora evidentemente duele. Este no es el punto de partida de la temporada que viene. Estoy seguro de eso, ¿no? Hay cosas que han sido buenas en este proceso, igual no hoy, pero hoy no es el inicio de la siguiente temporada. Hoy es el final de la presente temporada y empezaremos de otra manera.
If Xabi Alonso truly wants to fix Real Madrid, he has to do what Luis Enrique never could: convince Kylian Mbappé, not flatter him, not build the system around him, convince him to play for the team. Yeah, Mbappé scored 40 goals last season, but ask yourself, did it matter?
Are these statistics and not quite impact? And I think that is the question that Mbappé will have to ask himself. Is he impacting the team, or is he just scoring goals? I appreciate how stupid that is to say in a sport where the object is to go and score as many goals as possible, that maybe the goals are not quite delivering the impact that you would expect from a player like Mbappé. So how can you be more productive for the team, not just in goal scoring, but in terms of actually making the team work? I absolutely think he has to kind of examine that a little bit. When you look at the lack of success that he's had in major European competitions, when you look at some of these moments where you can say, oh, maybe with Mbappe in the team, they should be having more team success. Well, why aren't they? Why aren't they? I think that's kind of something that he has to ask himself.
Because when the team was getting torn apart by PSG, when Madrid needed everyone pressing and fighting, Mbappé wasn't there and neither was Vinicius. So Xabi has a decision to make. A real one. If Mbappé doesn't press, maybe he needs to sit. Yeah, bench him. Not forever, but long enough for him to get the message. This is a team system, not an Mbappé system. Same goes for Vinicius. Both of them need to evolve, not just to boost their stats, but to actually help the team win. Because look, when Madrid followed Xabi's system, 3 centre-backs, 2 real strikers, the team worked. Gonzalo Garcia and Endrick up front, maybe it could work. So if the stars won't adjust, maybe the stars need to sit. Xabi can't afford to build around names anymore. He needs to build around effort. So here we are. Xabi Alonso finally has a shot. A real chance to turn this whole thing around. The new signings, they're not just for depth, they're for change. Gonzalo Garcia is already proving he belongs. Trent Alexander-Arnold brings world-class delivery and leadership. Alvaro Carreras adds speed, grit and defensive balance. Dean Huijsen is a rock. And hey, and even Franco Mastantuono could end up being the wild card that shifts the entire midfield dynamic. Xabi has pieces now, real pieces. But let's be honest, right? The Club World Cup wasn't the perfect place to start a new era. It was chaotic, it was messy, it exposed a lot. But maybe that's a good thing, because now Xabi knows exactly what's broken. And after a few weeks of rest, a full pre-season, and full control of the locker room, there's no excuse. He has to take bold steps, even if that means letting go of a star.
This is the first part of the season up until the January transfer window for these two playing together in the same team. Obviously, you've got the Club World Cup right now, but up until that January transfer window, we've got Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe trying to make it work with Xabi Alonso as the manager. Do you get the inclination that if it doesn't, one of them, and it probably would be Vinny Jr., is going to be looking for an exit route?
Look, he already made that decision with Rodrigo. And if Vinicius and Mbappe still can't click, then maybe it's time to consider the unthinkable. Sell one, because it's like a toxic relationship. They bring out the worst in each other. They hurt the team, and maybe, just maybe, parting ways would let both of them get back to their best. The truth? Neither of them is at their peak right now, not in terms of collective play. They shine in moments, they go viral, but they're not leading a team, and that's what Xabi needs. Leaders, not soloists. The new Madrid? It can't be about stars anymore. It has to be about football, and that's exactly what Xabi Alonso is here to bring back.